back, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a while since you've seen us. It's been a while since we've posted.
The boys are back.
But we're back. Playoffs are about to start. We're bringing you Rockets content. I'm going to bring a lot of it. First off, we're going to do a couple series of videos in the next couple of days talking about awards, what our playoff predictions are going to be, and the Rockets season as a whole. We're going to start with what our takeaways from the Rockets season are as a whole. Roark, I'll let you start.
Yeah, Rockets take off here, finishing the 4th seed. Now, the Rockets, I'd say if you look at their season as a whole, remember we talked about them at the beginning of the year and how the Rockets start off very slow. They were 11 and 14 at one point in the season. They were 14th in the West. That was second to last in the West Conference, and everyone was almost like counting the Rockets out very early. It seemed like James Harden wasn't, he still was in MVP form, playing pretty well, averaging about 38 games, but Capella got hurt early with a thumb injury, and Chris Paul tweaked his hamstring very early, and it looked like the Rockets were going to be set for, I don't want to say like a failure season, but it looked like that we were going to really not meet the expectations of last year, come into Game 7, looking like we could have beat the Warriors in the NBA, go to the NBA Finals, and now the Rockets look like they were in a very bad position. But as we all know, Chris Paul gets hurt, Capella gets hurt. What does Harden do? Busts out the Rockets on the best streak, 9-1 streak. That's when he starts his 30-point game streak, and now Harden had 32 straight games, 30 points, but we'll get into Harden's stats later. But the point is that the Rockets were able to prevail mainly through Harden, on the back of Harden, to end up finishing. The Rockets finished. What did they finish? 53 and. What did they finish on?
29. 29. 10 math. 10 math.
Yeah, 53-29. Don't know why I second guess myself. So the Rockets, they finished 53-29 at the end of the regular season. That tied them for the 3rd seed. Unfortunately, with Portland, who had beat us in the head-to-head record, so the Rockets dropped at the 4th seed, which was very disappointing, very depressing for both of us. We should have been able to lock up that 2nd seed. If you look back at how the regular season ended, the Rockets had a chance to clinch the 2nd seed with a win in their final game against OKC. Unfortunately, as we know, the Rockets blew that game. I don't want to say Harden choked a little bit, but when you have 38 points, you're going to the line, you're 12 from 12 from the free throw, you make the first one, you have to make the second one to make it a 3-point game against OKC. You're up 2, Harden misses his 13th free throw, and he was 12 for 12, misses the 13th, and then on the other side, Paul George hits a crazy corner 3. The OKC goes up 1. Rockets still had a chance to tie the game. Harden misses a good shot. I mean, you can't really give him a tough break, but that free throw was a critical free throw for not only that game, but for the Rockets in the whole position of standings, because now, as we know, the Rockets lose that game. Denver wins. Portland wins. Denver locks up the 2nd seed. Portland's tied with us. And, of course, we don't have a tiebreaker against Portland. Now we're the 4th seed, facing Utah in the first round, which none of us wanted to play.
Yeah.
So, John, I would still categorize the Rockets season as a success. We had to prevail through some injuries. Harden was able to elevate his game to yet another level this year and show that the Rockets, are definitely contenders. Now, most people didn't think of the Rockets as being able to contend the Warriors this year, especially early on. But now it seems like there's a consensus around most analysts that the Rockets are the 2nd biggest threat, or to win the NBA behind the Warriors. We're the biggest threat to the Warriors and should be held in contention against, who can stop the Warriors. The Rockets should probably be number 1 on the list right now.
Absolutely. I think with the playoff seed, you play Golden State in the 2nd round most likely. We'll get into our predictions on the Jazz series. Will be in the next video, but I as a whole, I think it is a successful season. I feel definitely not where they were last year by any means, but I think this team's also. It took a lot longer to put together versus last season, where they pretty much had the same team the whole year. You didn't have that this year, and I think this year's team is actually deeper than last year's team. Oh,
without a doubt, we're definitely deeper.
So it took a little bit longer to get it together, and still 53 wins is still really good for a season. In the West, I don't know about San Antonio, but I'm pretty sure every team who's in the playoffs reached 50 wins except for the Clippers.
Yeah. The OKC was at 49, and San Antonio and Clippers were at 48. So right there, the point is that, even the 8th place seed was 9 games behind Golden State. So that just shows you how close the West was.
Absolutely. Versus like the Bucks in the East, it's a lot more
19 games between Detroit and the Bucks.
Exactly.
So it shows how tight the West really is.
Yeah, and I think they were stuck at 14th really early on in the season. 12th, and they slowly, James Harden pulled them back up
With his 3-point games for sure.
with all his amazing scoring streaks. And so that I think you categorize that as a success, right? I mean, maybe not a success as a team, but a success for him. One, because you don't want your main player to have to do all that, but
I think you got to break down the success in terms of where the team ended up in terms of the standings, and then you got to actually look at the inside of the team to say, okay, is the team really better? Because I don't want to say your record isn't exactly who you are, but as we know with the Rockets' slow start, I mean, the Rockets, if they were fully healthy to start out in the beginning, they came firing on all cylinders, they could have had 60 wins again this year. And while they only end up finishing with 53, it still shows that the Rockets were able to come back from being 11-14 and finish, with over 2 games, more wins versus their losses. So it shows the elevation. And from the standpoint of the team success, I would say it was still a little bit of letdown finishing 4th seed, even though we were only like 4 games behind Golden State. But you got to look at the player standpoint. You mentioned that the team is a lot deeper this year, and I think if you compare this team to last year's team, while last year's team might have been playing at a higher level in terms of their defensive and offensive efficiency, even though the Rockets, since the All-Star break, have been second in defensive rating and efficiency, and they're second overall in offensive rating this season. So when you take that into account, you look at the players this year versus last year, everyone says we lost Ariza and we lost Mute, and that really hurt us. But if you really look at who we've now gained at the end of the season, we've got a better backup PG in Austin Rivers. We've got Gerald Green playing, if not better this year than he did. Eric Gordon shooting the ball on fire, about 45% from 3 these last 25 games.
He went through a big stretch where he wasn't doing it at all.
That was a big reason at the beginning of the season. I remember talking while the Bucks were losing. He was shooting like 28%, 26%. It was absolutely terrible, but able to find his touch, good thing. At the beginning of the season, gets that out of the way. So now in the playoffs, he's back in motion full force. That's a real reason the Rockets have been very good. We talk about how the Rockets lost last game against the Thunder, but in their last 10 games, they were 9-1 going into that final game. And since the All-Star break, like I said, second in defensive rating overall, second in offensive rating. So the Rockets are performing at a really high level. And so with the player added depth, you got Austin Rivers, Gerald Green, Kenneth Faried, who's been a huge addition.
Absolutely.
Definitely helping out with that big man rotation, able to also shoot a little bit. So coming off the bench, Danuel House, he's been my favorite bench addition piece. I'm so happy we got him back. I was telling John this is stupid that we didn't sign him from that 2-way contract. Bullshit drama, but now the point is he's back, he's coming off the bench, and he's shooting the ball from far, 4% from 3 ever since he came back from the G League on the Vipers. So now that we got our bench a lot more focused, a lot better, a lot more in use, and I think we're going to be 9 or 10 deep. I mean, because you say, who's definitely going to play?
Harden, CP, Danuel House,
well, talk about
PJ,
yeah,
Pella, 5. Then the other 4 are probably going to be. I feel like Green gets minutes some night.
You said House
Faried,
and
Gordon,
Nene,
Gordon, Faried, Rivers probably gets minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Nene probably gets minutes in the playoffs. So you got to play Gerald Green a couple nights.
It's going to be 10 deep at the very least.
You can run a lot of people
8 or
on
9
a lot of
people.
nights.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe Green or Rivers don't play 1 or 2 nights, but still the point is that's going to be either 9 or 10 players you're playing every single game, keeping Harden and most importantly Chris Paul healthy and energized coming in, because you don't want to burn out in this first series against Utah, because next series is going to be the biggest series the Rockets are going to play. Biggest
probably the whole playoffs.
Yeah, I mean for sure, because
probably of the whole playoffs.
If we get past the Warriors, it's going to be game over for the Rockets. They're going to win easy. So the point is, we got to lock in right now. We got all our pieces. Everyone's healthy, and we're coming together. Even though we ended on a sour note in the regular season, it's like everything's starting to come together for the Rockets, especially the shooters. We talked about Eric Gordon, Gerald Green's playing really well right now, and obviously, Harden's playing well, and Chris Paul's healthy. Capella's getting his hands back together. His son was a little injured for the middle of the season, but now he's looking like he's getting back into full force. So being able to now have the Rockets fully healthy for once now, hopefully we can play our best basketball coming into the playoffs. So the Rockets season overall, I'd probably, if I had to say out of 10, if I'm giving last year a 9 out of 10, I'm giving this year probably 7.5 out of 10.
7, 8, if you're lucky.
I think, but that's in terms of how they finish in terms of their team success. Yeah. But overall, if I think last year's Rockets team was to play this
I
year's
think
Rockets
the story
team.
is bigger this year. Like, they did come back
Harden,
from
yeah.
14th and not looking good. 11 and 14 start.
Last year we just started off hot.
They were great, amazing, like, really good right off the bat. They beat Golden State the first night, and then absolutely. But I think the resiliency the team showed, and getting guys together, and getting them off the buyout market, and making trades, I think that was really important for them. And I think it spoke to Daryl Morey as a GM.
I would say, he was taking a lot of heat, a lot of flack.
I was ready.
I remember we had a video and filed Daryl Morey.
Yeah, we.
Might be.
Call me crazy.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the one thing I'm really excited about that I think is a great thing for this season that will build into next season is Danuel House. I'm really happy that we got a young player that plays the wing position, that is willing to learn from James Harden, and has shown a lot. Like, his offensive game,
picking up that step back.
He's taking a step back. He's wanting to learn.
Well,
he is
athletic.
Character-wise, he is what you want out of a player.
Yeah, he's
if
very
you're the
mature.
coach or the GM, you constantly hear how hard he's working. You see it in the games he's gotten better. He's older too, so he's not like super young and he's not unexperienced. He's been through the G League, so he knows how to work hard. I think he's going to be such a great addition for the longevity of Harden's prime and CP's, later years. I think he's going to be so good if we can keep him.
That's an interesting point bringing up in the future, because you look at the Rockets as a team who usually don't invest in younger players.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get more experienced, veteran, win now mentality players.
Like
but we've been developing Capella for the last 3 years, and now we got a guy like House who can be a really strong shooting guard, small forward. If we're able to keep developing him and keep him for the future, of course, Harden's still in his prime time playing the best basketball he's ever played.
He can never
in his
play
career.
too much, though.
Yeah, so looking forward, it's nice that we're starting to be able to invest these kind of future pieces, because before it looked like, okay, we got this win now mentality, but in a couple of years it's all going to kind of fall apart. But being able to start to invest for that future to keep the Rockets a sustainable and successful team moving forward is going to be very important for Daryl Morey to be able to figure out. But we got to keep focused what's happening right now. This year, being able to exceed our expectations. People are counting us out probably in the second round after Utah. We'll get into our playoff breakdown, but overall the Rockets team was able to face this adversity, fight through it. As we know, Harden was able to put the team on his back, keep the Rockets afloat, making them the best team during that stretch when he was out with Chris Paul and Capella. And now the Rockets are in a position to, we have to play with Utah in the first round, but be able to make some noise in the playoffs going forward. Hopefully, you get that matchup against Golden State and do well. They make up for what we did last year. So we'll see going forward, breaking it down. But the Rockets season as a whole, I give it probably 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Doing well.
So one thing I also want to say, I think Hardenstein also is a big. I think I pay attention to this more than probably you do about
G League stats.
Well, G League stats, but also like who are the new people, who are the new toys the Rockets are always getting. I'm very into the new toys. So Hardenstein, I don't have this. Let me see if I can find the stats real quick.
He's a crazy double machine in the G League.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that, again, he's another guy that, we tried the same thing with Zochi. Didn't really work out. He's released now. Caboclo, I really wish we had kept Caboclo.
He's looking good.
He's looking good for Memphis. I mean, Memphis is not going anywhere, but he's still. We knew he had potential. He's just 2 years away from being 2 years away. But
Hartenstein, point is, shout out to the G League Rio Grande Vipers. They were able to make it to the finals again. Unfortunately, lost to Long Island this year. But we had Hartenstein and obviously Clark repping out the G League team. We also have Gary Payton Jr. Playing on that
he's
team.
starting to show a lot. Yeah, Hartenstein averaged
7-footer, by the way, just telling you about Hartenstein.
7-footer, but plays. What I'm really excited about him is that he can play 5 or 4, really. He's athletic. He's more athletic than Ryan Anderson if you want to play him as a stretch 4, but he's really tall. But I think his natural position is a 5. But I mean, one of the things that attracted us to Zochi was he was tall, he could block shot, he showed a little bit of range. But I think Hardenstein shows that in a more polished form already.
Way stronger, rebounding way better, especially on the offensive end. And looks like he can be a lot more polished than Zochi. Zochi, I don't want to say a little weak, a little undeveloped, but Hartenstein.
Well, need to be eaten.
Hartenstein is super athletic with a super hustle mentality too. Always hustling.
Yeah, dude averaged 20 and 15 in the G League.
20 and 15. That 15, I like to see
And
that
4
15.
assists.
I like to see that 15 rebounds. See, that's something that we can convert coming into the future with the Rockets after Nene, he's only got a couple of years left in him. It's under a 3-year deal at the end of last offseason. So, going forward, it's like Capella's going to be the future center. We're hanging on to him, able to sign that big deal last year. But now we're going to need that future backup piece. We'll see what's going on with Reed in the future. But Hartenstein, like you said, going to be key for the Rockets moving forward with these kind of young additions. It's making the Rockets look like we're going to be a sustainable franchise. So the Rockets season as a whole, pretty well. I'm liking where we're shaping up and able to, at the beginning of the season, it didn't look good, but now it's looking well. So, you got anything else to add? The Rockets season ended up pretty well, able to fight through that adversity, but now we'll see if we can put that to the test in the playoffs first round against Utah. I'd say the Rockets are looking in good shape right now moving forward.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you 100%. I'm super excited for the future of the Rockets. For once, we've actually invested in young players, and whether those turn into, I hope it doesn't become a Montrezl Harrell situation where
we're just gonna deal for something.
We're gonna deal them for something, and they're gonna go, and then they're gonna hit their prime, and to be like, why, if you got 3 guys hitting their prime, you don't. I'd rather have 3 young guys hitting their prime, and just being one of those teams where everyone's like, oh, they're dangerous, like you don't know if how good they're gonna do. But then they surprise you, kind of like the Clippers are kind of painted into that picture right now. I'd rather have that than one, superstar. But
the Rockets are gonna have some decisions to make moving forward. Gordon's on a 1-year contract at the end of next year. It's gonna be hard to, I don't know if we're gonna re-sign him or if we're gonna maybe might deal him during next year.
If I was Daryl Morey, I would really be
probably
seriously be thinking about trading Eric Gordon.
I love
he gets off to a good start.
Yeah, because he's looking fire right now, and I don't want to say it's not sustainable, but when you're shooting 45% and your average 3-pointer is 3 feet behind the 3-point line, I don't want to say Eric Gordon's no Curry, but it's going to be.
I think he can be so
good for
useful
us
to a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
another team just like us, but we might try to deal him up for another.
Portland would want him after a third shooting guard or a third guard trio.
He'd be a good solid 6-man for that.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think next video we will have our playoff predictions up, and thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
The Rockets.